Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom.
Welcome to the Catholic Mama, where you'll learn how to deepen and defend your faith, find comfort as we share the vocation of parenthood, and learn how to raise your children confidently Catholic. I'm your host, Christine Mooney-Flynn. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Catholic Mama podcast. I'm your host, Christine Mooney-Flynn, and thanks for joining me on this episode where I am also joined by Jenna Hines, who is the creator behind Call Her Happy and Lazy Liturgical. I've been a paying customer of Jenna's because I love all of her stuff and so do my kids. So Jenna, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. My kids are actually super pumped that I'm on here, Christine, because they love podcasts. We listen to them at home all the time. And so the fact that I'm going to be actually on a podcast is blowing their minds right now.
So I had a very brief introduction of you. Can you please expand for the listeners?
Yeah. So I've been a mom now for almost 9 years. My oldest will be 9 in July. And right around when she was born, I started feeling like I needed more of a community of Catholic moms. And so I started reaching out online where I met lots of wonderful women, and I continued to do so. And I started a creative business with Call Her Happy. As time went on and I had less and less time to do those creative things, I started focusing on things that would be useful for my family and my children, which is how the Lazy Liturgical came around. And so it's kind of an offshoot, I guess, of Call Her Happy.
Nice. Are you a lifelong Catholic then?
I am. Yes. I'm a cradle Catholic. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. I just realized that we had our fourth baby in October, and she is the only one she'll be able to grow up saying she was a cradle Catholic. All the other ones were unaware converts. They were too young.
You can hold it over everyone's head.
That's right. I've been like it from conception. So when I got asked, when in July is your oldest baby's birthday?
July 22nd.
Oh, okay. I've got an 11th and a 19th in July.
Okay. Yeah. Right around there.
It's a nice hot summer birthdays, which
oh, yes.
I'm already hearing all the plans for the July birthday party. I'm like, I like to think about summertime because it's snowing.
We always borrow someone's pool every year for her birthday. It's always what we end up doing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not? My son's born in October. He's like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Too bad.
Can't help you. You swim in an indoor pool. I don't know. So with the, do you homeschool too?
We do. Yeah. This is our 4th year homeschooling right now. So my oldest, she's in 3rd grade. We started her in kindergarten, and my oldest son is in 1st grade. And then my youngest son is in preschool. Next year, my youngest daughter will start preschool. And we'll have preschool, kindergarten, 2nd and 4th grade next year.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. I was trying to imagine myself, because right now I'm only schooling 2 of them, and I can, they're both, because they're so close in age, they're both doing the same curriculum. But I was thinking, over time, yeah, I know I'm going to have to spread out my resources and my own energy and abilities, and that I'm a newbie at all this stuff. So,
you know what, it's amazing how as a mom, you are so in tune with their needs educationally and otherwise, of course. So I feel like it just kind of comes naturally after you've sat there and watched your child learn all year round. You know what they need next. So it'll come to you.
Great. That is a perfect answer. I love to hear that. I'll try to feel more confident once I get to that point of having to do different grades at the same time.
Just remember that you're smarter than they are.
That's Sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but no. And then other times I realize, how could you do that? Like, why are you that dumb sometimes? No, I'm kidding. They do crazy things though. So are you then using, when you create these resources for Lazy Liturgical, then you get to use them right with your own kids in your own home?
Yes. And I'll answer that by saying yes and no. I responded to a lot of people. I get a lot of people saying, oh, I did this sheet, but I did it 2 days late, or we did it on the wrong day, whatever it is. And I always tell them, we use them at our house too, but we use them months in advance because we have to get the sheets out into the bundle. And so, my kids do learn about the saints, but it's often like, we did St. George back in December or something like that, because it just happened to be on the docket that day. So we learn about him still. And then when the day comes up, I say, oh yeah, by the way, it's St. George's feast day today. Remember when we did that craft?
And months ago. So
Yes.
Real quick, because you mentioned the bundle, why don't you explain that? Because I think it's great.
Yes, this actually came from an idea from a longtime internet friend of mine, Mandy. She was enjoying the Lazy Liturgical coloring and activity sheets. And she said, I wish there was a way that I could purchase these all at once instead of having to come back to your Etsy site each day and purchase them that way. And I was like, that's a really great idea. So I put them all together into this bundle, and it grows. So as I add more sheets throughout the year, then I just add them right into the Google document or the Google file, I guess it is. And then moms and dads and teachers all have access to these sheets that can be used all year round.
Yeah, every time I see, when I pay really close attention to the feast days that are coming up, I usually sit down like at the beginning of the month and kind of map out for the remainder of the month of what feast days we're going to celebrate and focus on and learn about. I always go to the bundle and hope that you've put something in there. And most times you have.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
I always take suggestions too.
All right. If I think of anything, if I realize it's not there, but yeah, every time I'm like, I wonder if she does. That's great. And we're planning. Yeah, it's been an awesome resource.
I'm so glad. My kids love it too. So I'm happy to hear that.
That's good. Even if they have to do it a couple months earlier.
Yeah. They don't seem to care at this point.
Right. It's coloring and having fun.
Exactly.
We just learned, and I do them out of order too. So we spend 1 week learning about, usually it's just a week, unless it's like a really big country like China or India, learning about one particular country, and we're making our way around the world. And we spent 2 weeks doing India, and so we had a whole day for St. Teresa of Calcutta, which is it's not near her feast day. We just did it like 2 weeks ago. So we work out of order too. I like that it's all there because it doesn't have to be done in order. If something like a cultural lesson comes up as a homeschool parent, or even just somebody who wants to, if their kid suddenly gets an interest in or hears about a saint, you can just hop in there and pull something out.
Exactly. And I try to make it really easy to search them in the file as well, in the folder, just by date. And then of course it's movable feast, but you can search by the name of the movable feast. But yeah, I've heard a lot of parents, they'll use them for, their school, their Catholic school is celebrating something. And so they'll print that particular saint that is the namesake of the school, or, whatever it may be. So yeah, you can use them whenever you want.
Yeah, they're there. They're there. That's awesome. So then how long have you been doing Lazy Liturgical as it is currently?
I started doing the bundle sheets about a year ago. So I've kind of been able to see how I've grown, really. I've been looking back at the digital sheets, and it's kind of been interesting to see all the new tricks and, different things that I've learned along the way. So that's only been happening for about a year. I think my very first sheet I started with was Candlemas, I want to say, which is actually our youngest's birthday. So I just kind of whipped up that sheet really quick for them to do on that day. And that's kind of where the whole idea started. And then the book, the actual Lazy Liturgical book, that started about 2016, I want to say. It was the first publication of that.
You got a few years under your belt.
Yeah.
That's great. What got you started in this kind of the design, the drawing? Or is this your background?
No, not so much. I've always loved to create things. When my daughter was first born, I realized I couldn't do as much creating and crafting as I had once done before. And I was mostly just doing Pinterest projects and fun little things that I saw in magazines and stuff like that, never really creating for anybody but myself. As time went on, it kind of evolved. I started picking up embroidery. I did that for a while. I got into sewing a little bit, making jewelry, things like that. And then what I realized was I was spending a lot of my time packaging and shipping, and I didn't want to have to do that so much now that we have 4 kids. And so it started going into more the digital realm. I realized that this was a resource my family needed, and that other families would probably enjoy it as well. So now I'm more in the digital art realm, and I guess it kind of started with a gift of an iPad that my husband had gotten me one year, and it kind of took off from there.
Very cool. Yeah, I got to say, my husband has his own business that I work with him on, and we have done physical products here and there throughout the years, but it's mostly digital. And I am so grateful for that. It really is. Every time that I even have to ship out a T-shirt or a signed book of his or something, like, oh.
I know, right? It's like you're thankful, you're so grateful, but you're like, oh my gosh, life is hard.
I know. Digital, just do it digital. Yeah, digital products.
My husband actually has a physical Etsy shop as well, a physical product Etsy shop.
Oh, no kidding.
So he's the one I'm taking his orders to the post office and stuff all the time now too. So, I wish I could do mine digital, but I just can't. He sells rosaries, so it's different.
Yeah, that is a little different. What's your husband's Etsy shop?
It's called Zuver Goods Co. ZUVERGOODSCO. Zuver Goods Co.
Okay.
And he sells these beautiful wooden finger rosaries that he designed himself, and he mills himself, and just spends a lot of time on them. And they're just these beautiful heirloom quality finger rosaries.
That's fantastic. I will definitely put a link in the show notes along with all of your information for that as well. That sounds really cool.
Great. Yeah, he'd love that.
Great. Wonderful. Got to help the Catholics. Got to help each other out, right? Okay. So you started, this is kind of something that sounds like it morphed over time. For somebody who's coming in new, either they have time but don't know where to start, or they have a life and kids and a business or whatever it is, and they're kind of strapped for time. What's the best way? Because the church's calendar has a feast day pretty much every day of the year for a saint. Mm-hmm. And then you can, and I've learned from my own mistakes, it can be so easy to over-plan and over-commit to the feast days because they are a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. What is the best way to get started with this?
I think the best way to get started is just pick a couple, maybe even one a month if you really want to be aggressive about it. Some of the bigger ones that you can start with, you want to do like the solemnities or St. Nicholas Day, something that, a lot of people are familiar with, I suppose. And in my book as well, like when you go through, there are some feasts and solemnities and whatnot that have asterisks next to them. And I recommend people start with those if they're not quite sure where to start. And there's not many of them. It's just a handful. So, you're talking Assumption of Mary, and, you're talking about, the Solemnity of Mary, and basically lots of holy days of obligation, stuff like that you can start with. Those are the easiest ones to go ahead with.
Sure. Yeah, those are the ones you have to go to Mass for anyway. You might as well go a step further.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's your favorite feast day? Do you have one?
Gosh, I don't know. I was thinking about that actually. I wonder if she's going to ask me that. So I was thinking of a few, and I have a handful. I really do like the Feast of St. Lawrence just because of the fun nature of it. I mean, gosh, he was martyred, so I don't want to say it's fun. He was burned like on a spit. He was barbecued, but he had a good sense of humor about it, I felt like, in the story. And so I've always kind of liked his feast day. We'll go out for barbecue sometimes if we think about it. There's a barbecue restaurant down the road.
Is he the one that said that turn me over, I'm done on this side? Yes. Or something? Okay, all right.
Exactly. So I'm like, I feel like if he was kind of, funny about it, we can be funny about it too. Yeah. So I love him. St. George is another fun one just because I have boys, and that's, they love St. George with dragons. They love St. Michael because of, just fighting and swords and stuff like that. That's a favorite one around here. I personally love St. Dymphna. She's one of my very favorite saints. Just like my Saint BFF. So I've always loved her feast day, May 15th. And I felt like God recognized that because my second born was born on her feast day. And I just felt like that was a little gift that he gave me. So she's another one of my favorites too.
That's awesome. We are just learning. One of my daughters, so I'm getting confused because now I have 3 daughters. Like, wait, what? Count them up. But she loves St. Michael. Always praying the St. Michael prayer. Anyway, so we had to make a big deal out of his feast day, even though my son's birthday is a few days later. So I was like, oh man, well, I guess we're having another party. But we had so much fun with it. And even, I guess, you can see very, Pinterest worthy or picture perfect ways of celebrating a feast day online, but it doesn't have to be like that in your own home. So
no, not at all. Yeah.
I just collected different ideas, and we wound up putting together a box that we decorated like the devil, and then whacking him with wooden swords. And then my husband had just procured a paintball gun, so we shot it.
Yeah, what kid doesn't want to just whack stuff? Like that's
I figured that was, it's like, we should hang it up for a piñata. Like, no, we're doing a piñata next week for my son's birthday. We'll just hit it with a stick.
If you could just hit something with a stick for every feast day, you're good.
And have a dessert.
Exactly.
So you have does everybody, I guess, has your daughter been, your oldest would have had, or your two older would have had their first Holy Communions and
my oldest has made her first communion and first reconciliation. My second oldest will be embarking on that in second grade. So next year,
nice.
He's in first grade right now. So we've been learning about a little bit about reconciliation and the Holy Eucharist this past couple of weeks. Just kind of, he's had questions about it. He's even been asking me questions about confirmation. He wants to pick his confirmation.
I was going to ask, are they even talking about that yet? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My oldest, she's already picked St. Bernadette. She wants to choose St. Bernadette. So we'll see if that changes over time. And my oldest son, I just got him an encyclopedia of saints because he wants to go through. He's pretty sure St. Michael, but he's not quite sure. So he wants to, really do his research before he reaches 8th grade, I guess.
He's got time.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I already know. I'm sure it'll be, I will be very surprised if it changes from St. Michael for my one. And then St. Nicholas is such a fun, I don't know if my son realizes yet that, he punched a heretic in the face. So that'll even raise St. Nicholas's esteem in his mind. But right now,
exactly.
It's just a gift-giving holiday.
I'm telling you, punching stuff and hitting stuff. That's all you need.
Yeah, especially for the boys. So what's next for Lazy Liturgical?
Well, a couple things I have in the works. First of all, the bundle is always growing. The sheets that I try to go along with the book with the sheets, although I add quite a few more. So that will continue to grow over time. My goal is this year to have the majority of the sheets that I want done this year, maybe by September, I think. And then I'll always be adding stuff to it as I find new saints that I love and new Catholic traditions and stuff. I'll add things in there. And then the book, I've sold that through Etsy and also some brick and mortar stores for years now. And this is the first time I've ever sat down. This is the first time I haven't been pregnant or nursing for a chunk of time. So I actually sat down and emailed the publisher. And so I'm considering, hopefully they'll accept my proposal, and this might be actually published by a real life publishing company soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the book stuff is a lot of work, but it's so cool to see the fruits of your labor and actually get to hold it in your hand and kind of flip through. But
yes.
Not that I know, my husband's a book writer, so he's got that stuff, but I know it's even on his, we've self-published a little bit, but he's gone through larger publishers. It's a huge process and also a huge blessing either way.
It is. Yeah. And it's something satisfying, like you said, holding it in your hand and being able to share it with other people. And it's just something that I'm really proud of because it's something I created for my family. And then I thought, you know what, other people might want this as well, which is kind of why I started putting it up online for other people to get their hands on.
Yeah. I love books or products or anything like that. That was tested on the family at first because that other moms are going to want that too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Been there, done that. You're like, yes, share. And everybody's, yes, I'll take it. I need to help.
That's right.
Yeah. So what I personally do is when I see us, I kind of blend different liturgical living resources, and I'll, cause it's so, I will look up, the feast days of saints in January. Well, oh my goodness, there's hundreds,
Mm-hmm.
So I've honed in on, just the major ones that I kind of know already, just to start there because it can get so overwhelming. And then I look up, I'm a food person. So how food plays into liturgical living days or the feast days really is big for me. So I always look up a food I can make. And then I always go to your bundle and find.
That's great.
But I have
That's
yet to
perfect.
find. I have yet not to find something. So it is there. There are quite a few projects in there. And I like that they're not that involved.
That was the whole point of the book, was that, I was going online and I was going to different blogs and Pinterest and all these things. And I saw all these beautiful and amazing ideas that I was just in awe of. And I was feeling bad about myself because I couldn't plan ahead far enough to get those things done, to go to we live out in the country. So it's like, I got to go to the store and I got to get the supplies. And I'm not much of a baker. I don't really I do it a lot. My friend Laura, if she's listening to this, she'll laugh at me because I bake all the time, but I hate it. So I don't, I try not to, and cooking, it's like, do I have the ingredients on hand? So it was just all these things like, gosh, I keep failing at this, I'm doing a really bad job, which, of course wasn't the case, but I wanted something that was easier, something that I knew that I could incorporate into my life without having to plan ahead, because the way it works for me is like, I open up, Instagram or something one day and I go, oh no, it's the feast of so-and-so.
Exactly. Yes.
What should I do today? Tomorrow is, St. Francis de Sales. And it's like, I don't have to do anything because I can just open my book and I have the sheet here and my kids will do it and it'll be great.
Yeah. I think it was because we haven't been Catholic for too long. And so I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember now. And I had opened up Instagram and it was all the St. Nicholas stuff. I was like, oh, that would have been so good, I guess, next year.
Right. And I'll tell you what, that's like the one feast day that I actually plan ahead for, out of every feast day on the whole calendar. St. Nicholas Day is like literally the only one that I go, okay, I need to make sure that I get coins and oranges.
I know there are like specifics. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, we pare back on things during Advent. So it's really important for us now over the past year or so to kind of make a bigger deal over a feast day here and there, just so that it's it livens up and doesn't make the kids feel like we're poo-pooing the Christmas season.
Exactly. The Advent saints are great. Yeah, there are so many great saints during Advent. They're like the all-star team, I think. Yeah,
St. Lucia is my favorite. So every December 13th as it rolls around, get a little giddy about it.
That's a perfect one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do for that feast day is we order cinnamon rolls from the pizza place down the road. Like they have like little cinnamon sticks or whatever, because I'm not going to make cinnamon rolls. They deliver those to the house and I scramble up some eggs and that's dinner. Like,
that's so
great.
Easy. I like the deliver to the house. It's even better. I had plans of, because even before I was Catholic, I loved that feast day. We had, where I grew up, in North Carolina, there was a lot of transplants who moved from all over the world or all over the country for this one business area. And there were a lot of Scandinavians who had moved in. So my mom and I had always gone to the Scandinavian Christmas fair. And so that was when I first heard even the St. Lucia song and saw the it's just so beautiful to see the girls all coming up when they would turn the lights down and just have candles and the singing and the Star Boys. And it was always just so magical. And so I've always loved that feast day. And it's funny that I never, like when I first realized that I love that feast day, I never would have thought that I would become a Catholic celebrating it, because I was definitely pretty anti-Catholic at that point. But I used to make
St. Lucy was praying for you.
That's right. She is my confirmation saint as well.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but I used to make the saffron buns, and I would soak saffron and more milk and blah blah blah, all this stuff. This was before I had kids, so now
yes, exactly.
It is
you
much,
have to say that.
Yeah, I would make it. It's funny. I would make a big deal out of that feast day before I was Catholic. And now that I am Catholic, but I have kids and I can't make as big of a deal out of it. But yeah.
Order cinnamon sticks from the pizza place. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. That's what I'll do next year. I think this year we had been traveling up until like 2 days before her feast day. And I was just so tired. We did not celebrate. We celebrated St. Nicholas's Day, which my son really liked because that's his favorite saint. But we kind of missed out on mine. So next time, although my daughter was thrilled, we used the wreath template.
Oh, great. Great.
She was very, very happy to get to wear that, because I had explained, I was like, the oldest daughter of the house would typically be the one to carry the treats around and bring light through the darkness on a dark, cold morning. And she was thrilled. She was the one that was mostly into it. Yeah. She's like 4.5 and super into being a girl right now and activities and crafts. And I love it.
That's awesome. That's perfect age.
Yeah. Yeah. She's my big participant in all of your sheets.
Hey, I like her already.
Yeah. She's a good time for crafting. She's my girl. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jenna. I will put, like I said, everybody who's listening, I will put links to the Lazy Liturgical Etsy shop and Call Her Happy, and her husband's rosary shop on Etsy. And really, if there's anything else, Jenna, that you can think of, we'll talk later. You can send that over to me. But we'll give everybody all the resources so they can find it. Because like I said, I love the bundle. That's my go-to. So I'm happy to. I hope other people find it as useful as other listeners. I'm sure many other people find it.
Thank you. Useful. I hope everybody finds it as exciting as I find it.
It is exciting. I love it. I love just opening it up and finding a saint that we can celebrate that day. And my goodness, we have been blessed with so many saints to celebrate.
Yes, potentially billions. Who knows?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Not all of them we can. I'm like, can you imagine the calendar, what it would look like? Oh,
I know.
All right, everyone. Until next time.
Don't forget to head over to thecatholicmama.com to get your free copy of How to Talk to Your Kids About God. This handy little ebook will teach you how to broach the topic of God with your children, or how to respond to your kids when they want to talk about God, as well as give you answers to 7 of the trickiest questions about the faith that Christian parents face. You'll love the easy-to-understand grown-up answers, the pared-down but not talked-down answers you can share with your kids, plus recommended resources if you'd like to deepen your understanding of the topic. Get yours free at thecatholicmama.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Al Belowski, host of Catholic Mysticism and All Things Catholic. You know, we have such a beautiful, vibrant faith, and I want to introduce you to it. And what we do on the show is we talk about the supernatural. We talk about a prayer life. We talk about the battle that's waged between good and evil. We talk about Satan, and we talk about God and the battle that they have begun for our souls. And we talk about our brothers and sisters, the saints. And we want to get you into this wonderful supernatural aspect of our faith, where we talk about miracles of the Eucharist, where we talk about Our Lady's apparitions at Fatima and Lourdes. And we can let our souls be nourished with this and continue to grow closer to our Lord in holiness. And by our brothers and sisters that have gone before us, the saints, that we tap into their lives and talk about them and the challenges that are so relevant today in our world as it was for them. And we use this to become closer and closer to our Lord, because we are spiritual beings, and He has given us this great gift of His church to nourish us with His sacraments, especially in the Eucharist and confession and confirmation and all the beautiful things of our faith that lead us closer and closer to Him. So I hope you'll tune in for Catholic Mysticism, where we will try, you and I, together to grow closer through the Holy Spirit to our Lord Jesus Christ. God bless.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.